Welcome to my channel people. Author link will be on description, make sure to check it. Let's start. What if Naruto had a leveling system? Part 2. Back inside the seal space, the attraction force around Minato kept increasing and no one there knew what it was attracting, whether it was fortune or misfortune, except the person who caused this incident. He watched with intrigue how the events are going to turn out. Suddenly everyone started feeling danger, even the clueless Naruto, and the atmosphere started feeling heavy and eerie, and behind Minato, a specter much larger than an average human with a demonic face appeared. It had long shaggy white hair from which two red horns protrude, as well as purple-colored skin. It is draped in a large white kimono and wears a set of prayer beads around its neck and a tanto in its mouth. Looking at it, everyone was terrified. Even Kurama stood up because he still remembers clearly how this figure sealed his other half away in Minato. The Reaper looked at me for a moment and I can see it seemed surprised at my existence for some reason, but it ignored me for now since it has a target, the one attracting it. Minato was shocked because he didn't summon it and his body froze, making him realize that nothing can save him from being completely sealed inside the Death Reaper, and he can see it in slow motion thanks to his monstrous reaction speed as the Reaper removed the tanto from its mouth, revealing sharp jagged teeth and a serpentine tongue. It lifted the tanto in the air and slashed it straight at Minato. Time felt like it stopped the instant the tanto was about to slash him, and suddenly 7 thin white chains came out of his abdomen, completely incapacitating the Death Reaper before 2 thick black ones come out from the same place, making it show a scared face. One entered straight into the Death Reaper's abdomen, retrieving Minato's soul, while the other went inside its head, its purpose unknown. But after this, the Reaper stayed no longer and faded away while the attraction force around Minato helped him absorb his soul, and he recovered completely to his previous level and some more, now only lacking a body. So this is how the system items work. They achieve their purpose no matter what. I thought, as in this case a simple chakra regenerating pill transformed into some crazy sealing techniques. Slowly everyone came back from their shock and Minato and Kurama quickly looked at me and said at the same time, "What was that?" They didn't even notice they are acting the same way. I thought with amusement and simply shrugged at them. Someone gave me that pill and said it could regenerate chakra. I didn't think it regenerates chakra no matter what a surprise, right? I said with a chuckle. But more importantly, go have a talk with Naruto first. Minato sent me one last doubtful look, but he was happy anyways and went to talk with Naruto while I just went to Kurama and had some small talk with him until the father and son finished catching up. Before long Minato came back with Naruto in his arms. After he arrived in front of me, he put Naruto down and bowed deeply to me and said, "Thank you very much. If not for you I wouldn't be able to have this moment with Naruto." It was funny because even while bowing he was still taller than me, which made me annoyed at my small body, but I buried this feeling deep down and said with a serious face, "Raise your head, Minato, now you work for me, and those who follow me bows to no one." But unfortunately a 5 years old making a serious face is simply funny, and it showed as Minato gave me a sunny smile while saying, "Yes," instead of responding seriously, which made me annoyed and I wanted to smash his face in, but I held myself back. "Minato, explain to your wife if she wants to accept the same deal or not. If she agrees I can give her another pill." Minato was excited that I still have more of this miraculous pill and quickly communicated with Kushina's soul, and before long a fair-skinned and slender woman of feminine build with violet eyes, and the common Uzumaki red hair. Her hair was straight and reached her thighs with shoulder-length strands that framed both sides of her face and a black clip that parts her hair to the left. She was wearing a high-collared, sleeveless blouse under a long, loose-fitting dress with a wristband on her left wrist and standard shinobi sandals. This was the mother of Naruto and Minato's wife, Kushina Uzumaki. The moment she appeared she rushed to Naruto and hugged him tightly for a while with tear pouring out of her eyes. And I approached her telling her she needs to take this pill or else she will dissipate. Kushina looked at the kid around her son's age and the pill he's giving her curiously. This is person Minato promised to work for. I hope he becomes good friends with Naruto, she thought before looking at her husband, who gestured at her to quickly eat the pill, and so she did without hesitation because of her trust on her husband, plus she was going to dissipate anyways if she doesn't take it. Kushina experienced her chakra coming back again, which surprised her, and before long she was back to her full capacity without having to go through a similar incident to the one with the Death Reaper. Again I waited a bit for them to finish their family reunion before I explained to them my plan about creating an anti-seal for Kurama, and they agreed to it after they saw my relationship with him. We also discussed how to deal with their lack of bodies, but we came with no solution for it for now. Finally I decided to leave, but not before I asked Minato to teach me the shadow clone jutsu, which he gladly did. After I left the seal space with Naruto, I noticed that it was almost dark, so I took Naruto outside for dinner with me before I sent him back home, and I went back to my house too and felt exhausted from everything that happened tonight and quickly fell asleep. Next morning after I had a nice breakfast, I took Sasuke with me and went to pick up Naruto before we headed to the orphanage, because I need to make it seem as if I like helping orphans to lessen the suspicions around me getting close to Naruto. But, in the end, my identity as an orphan myself, and a 5-year-old one at that, is the best reason to not be suspicious of me. In our way to the orphanage, we came across an incident that made me frown. 3 young kids that seemed poor and quite dirty were playing around chasing each other before one of them, a young girl, tripped on a stone and bumped into a man wearing the normal ninja clothing and fell down on her butt. Sorry mister, I didn't see you, the girl timidly said. The man, which I could tell is an Uchiha from his dark hair and eyes, looked at the kids as if they were ants and kicked the girl away while saying arrogantly, "How dare you attack me and dirty the clothes of a member of the Uchiha police force? You should be taught a lesson." Uncaring about the disgusted faces everyone was giving him, the man walked towards the 3 kids ready to beat them up, but someone beside me quickly stepped in front of them and yelled at him, "What do you think you are doing?" An angry Sasuke said. Seeing someone from the same clan as him, and from the Uchiha police force at that, which he believed was supposed to be protecting the civilians, not harming them, made Sasuke extremely angry, so he stepped in the man's way and yelled at him, "What do you think you are doing?" The man felt annoyed with a kid yelling at him and was about to kick Sasuke away, but when he saw his face, he froze, because he recognized who this childish face belonged to. The youngest son of the Uchiha clan head and the little brother of the greatest genius in the village, Itachi Uchiha. The man's face crumbled and turned pale, realizing he was about to hit him just now, making him sigh in relief for the shuriken he just dodged, but he would still be punished if this is reported to Fugaku directly, so he was still worried. Just what is Sasuke doing here? He thought before he nervously said, I am just teaching them a lesson to make them behave properly next time. Sasuke was having none of his BS and yelled again, "You are a member of the Uchiha police force. You are supposed to be helping civilians, not assaulting them when they bump into you accidentally." I noticed the man getting annoyed by Sasuke yelling at him, but he quickly tried to hide it, knowing that he can't do anything in this situation. As for the people around watching this from the start without doing anything to help the kids, they nodded approvingly at Sasuke, making me want to puke. The man quickly calmed himself down, and his eyes lit up for an instant after remembering Sasuke's age, so he put on an apologetic face and bowed to Sasuke while saying with a regretful voice, "I am very sorry, I won't do it again, can you let it slide this time please?" Sasuke, being only 5 and inexperienced with social matters, was embarrassed by this grown-up man bowing and apologizing to him, and it resulted in him responding by a snort and saying, "HMPH, if I see you bullying anyone again I will tell my father and brother." The man nodded his head and thanked Sasuke profusely before he quickly ran away with his tail between his legs. I didn't interfere from start to finish and simply watched coldly while deep in thought. The Uchiha clan has many rotten members too. No matter if this haughty behavior came from them taking pride in their bloodline, or because of the oppression from the village, or both, treating kids like this is unforgivable. I need to deal with these tumors quickly. Sasuke turned back and looked at me, and I simply walked towards the kids while gesturing for him to follow me and Naruto. They were 2 boys and a girl around 6 to 7 years old in shabby clothing. The girl was holding her tiny stomach in pain while the 2 other kids were kneeling beside her with worried faces. They looked at us and one of boys said with tears in his eyes, "Pete, please help Mika, she's in so much pain." Naruto and Sasuke both looked at me since they didn't have a way to help her. I knelt beside the suffering girl and took 2 pills stealthily from the inventory. These 2 I bought in huge quantity from a medicine store for my training. One is a painkiller while the other is a pill that helps quicken recovery. After the girl ate the pills, her pale complexion started turning back to normal and her frowning brows relaxed a little, so I asked the 2 boys, "She still can't walk properly and she needs some rest, but she will be fine soon." I heard a weak voice say, "Thank you." It was the girl. I nodded at her. You are welcome, or you three orphans. They nodded at the same time and one of the boys responded, yes, we live in the orphanage not far from here. Well, I guessed this much from their clothes. We were on our way there. Would you please show us the way? The boys quickly said with enthusiasm, leave it to us. I picked the girl on my back, which caught her by surprise and made her embarrassed a little, but I didn't notice because at this moment I thought, this girl is really light for her age. It seems the situation in the orphanage isn't a simple lack of clothing, and we started walking again while hearing Naruto and Sasuke bickering, with Naruto saying, why did you let him go away? And Sasuke responding by, none of your business, and before long that bickering turned into fighting and I had to stop them before I get a headache. After we arrived at the orphanage, I explained what happened to the girl to the caretaker and said goodbye to the kids before I asked for some information about the situation and the number of kids here, since I wanted to send some food and clothes to kids here, resulting in the caretaker thanking me over and over again. With that over, I spent the rest of the morning training with both Sasuke and Naruto before each of us went back home. Meanwhile, inside of the Hokage Tower, the third Hokage was sitting on his desk while sorting out some files until a knocking came at his door and he said, come in. The door opened and a man in Anbu uniform entered. He had silver hair, a lean but muscular body, and wore a lion dog mask outlined in red and black, with a curling mouth and slanted eyes. 2 streaks make whisker-like marks at the cheeks, and sharp little ears lift into his hair. The eyes are cut a little wider to accommodate the Sharingan he has in on eye. This was Kakashi Hatake, the future leader of Team 7, but currently he was no more than a shadow of his former genius self because of all the tragedies in his life. Kakashi knelt in front of the Hokage and started reporting, recently, Naruto got closer to an Uchiha kid around his age. How do you want this to be handled, Sandaime-sama? Sarutobi looked surprised and asked, oh, someone actually approached Naruto? No, according to my investigation, Naruto was the one who approached that kid's shop, Kakashi said. Sarutobi looked surprised again. You said he's Naruto's age and yet he already has a shop. Yes, he owns a pastry shop which quickly got famous, and some people are already even saying it's the best pastry shop in Konoha. Naruto visited that place many times until yesterday. Bakurio Uchiha noticed him staring at his shop and invited him in. Later that day he visited Naruto's house and even took him to eat dinner at a ramen stall. While today, they visited the orphanage alongside another kid, Itachi's little brother, Sasuke Uchiha. Kakashi reported everything that happened the past few days since he was in charge of supervising and protecting Naruto. Sarutobi was deep in thoughts before he said, did you investigate that kid? Yes, he is an orphan. His parents died at the incident 5 years ago while helping escorting the civilians, and he lives alone in the Uchiha compound. Sarutobi seemed relieved about something and said, it seems this kid felt sad for Naruto because he's also an orphan. Keep an eye on them just in case, but don't interfere unless you can confirm the involvement of the Uchiha leaders. Kakashi quickly saluted and said, yes sir, before he body flickered away from the office, leaving the third Hokage deep in thoughts. Back in the Uchiha compound after my training with Naruto and Sasuke, I decided to check if I completed any quests after this sequence of events. Quests, I said in my head and directly entered the completed section, and I found a few. Quest: friend of the protagonist 2. Befriend 2 of the main characters in this world. Reward 300 points plus additional reward depending on the befriended characters completed. Quest: friend of a tailed beast 1. Befriend 1 tailed beast from this world. Reward 500 points plus additional reward depending on the befriended beast completed. Quest: path of a lord 1. Gain 1 trusted follower that won't betray you. Reward 1000 points plus additional reward completed. Quest: path of a lord 2. Gain 2 trusted followers that won't betray you. Reward 3000 points plus additional reward completed. I was surprised at all the quests I completed, and at the same time delighted by one in particular. The quest, Path of the Lord, if I am not wrong, is thanks to Minato and Kushina, and knowing how the system works, it means I can trust them in the future, which is great. Accept all rewards, I said in my head, and I received a notification. You received 4,800 points. Asura's Chakra, Inheritor of Kurama, Nervous System Enhancement, Advanced Sealing Talent. Asura's Chakra. Hugely increase the user's affinity towards nature's energy. Inheritor of Kurama. Raise the body and chakra talent by 2 levels and grants an additional increase in physical and spiritual abilities. Nervous system enhancement. Enhance the reaction and information processing speed by 25 times. The advanced sealing talent is self-explanatory and I didn't hesitate to use everything one by one starting by it. Then I used Asura's chakra. I felt something circulating in my body before it stopped at my forehead and I felt so focused like never before. Soon I started feeling a new type of energy in the air I never felt before, different from the normal elements, and sensed a strong desire from my body wanting to absorb it, but I held myself back to continue using my other rewards first. Next I used Inheritor of Karama and I felt both my body and soul burning, but it wasn't painful for some reason. Slowly my body started changing, my muscles started enlarging, then tightening, and bigger changes were happening inside my body. My bones' density increased to terrifying degrees. My nerves and skin and chakra channels kept disintegrating and regenerating, and my organs transformed each in different ways. My blood kept evaporating and condensing. As for my soul, I can't even imagine how it changed, but I felt even more connected to my body, giving me a feeling of completeness. The process lasted for an hour before it ended, and I felt like the difference between the current me and me before is like night and day. All my senses were strengthened to a terrifying degree. I can see so far yet clearly, and the same with my hearing. I can hear what the people in houses around are saying clearly, making me feel like a creep. As for my smell, I can smell different scents in a huge radius around me and even differentiate between each of them. Not to mention the terrible strength coursing through every inch of my body, making me feel invincible even though I know I am far from it. Seeing myself almost drunk in the feeling of power, I quickly calmed myself and couldn't help but grin, thinking the risk I took was really worth it. I can tell my reaction and information processing speed were greatly enhanced from this power-up. Just how broken I am going to become after the nervous system enhancement. I thought while quickly using it because I couldn't wait anymore. I suddenly felt all my nerves heating up, and this time, it caused me a terrible pain which I didn't expect since the previous power-up was painless for some reason, but I couldn't ponder it for long because I directly fainted and fell on the floor. 24 hours later I woke up in a room I didn't recognize, and with my new enhanced senses I could hear a female's voice in another room I recognized as Makoto Uchiha. Will Bakurio-kun really be okay? He's been in this state for a whole day now. The man she's talking to replied with a reassuring look. Don't worry, Makoto. The doctor said that he's not in pain anymore and will wake up soon. Makoto heaved a sigh of relief before she looked at her husband worriedly. Husband, do you think someone attacked Bakurio-kun? Fugaku had a dangerous flash in his eyes for an instant before he said, we will know when Bakurio wakes up. Let not assume anything for now, but whether he himself believe in what he said, no one knows. Except for him. Suddenly they heard footsteps coming from the stairs, and before long they become delighted, and Makoto rushed to the kid and hugged him tightly with teary eyes. Looking at the woman hugging me and telling me how worried she was about me, I couldn't help but feel my cold heart warming up, and I patted her back saying, I am okay now, Makoto-san, don't worry. Fugaku looked at me and said with a smile, I am glad you are okay. We were really worried. Sasuke couldn't even train like he's used to. I left Makoto's hug and said with a warm smile, thank you for worrying about me, it really makes me happy. Fugaku nodded at me and we sat together around the table again, and I asked curiously, where's Sasuke? Makoto chuckled softly and said, he was so worried, he wanted to make sure you get the best medicine, so he went to buy them himself. Right, even if you are feeling well right now you should take your medicine later, okay? Makoto finished saying with a stern face, not accepting no for an answer, and I accepted her request since I know she's still worried. Suddenly Fugaku said seriously, Bakurio, how did you end up like that? Did someone attack you? Everything is so slow. I thought thanks to my new processing speed I could think of many reasons in an instant, but I went with the most believable one, saying, I lately bought some heavy weights and trained with Sasuke and Naruto for the whole morning while wearing them, so when I got home I felt very drained, and the moment I removed them I fainted without even realizing it. Hearing the reason for me fainting wasn't from someone attacking me made them heave a sigh of relief, but at the same time Makoto became angry, but she calmed herself and said, Bakurio-kun, why did you train recklessly like this? I said, because I want to become strong. Her anger rose again and she said, you are only 5 years old, you shouldn't be worried about getting strong. I looked at her deeply. Makoto-san, do you really believe we are living in a period where you can live even if you are weak? Unfortunately, it's very clear to me that the clan's future is not optimistic, and I need strength to change it, and protect those I care about in it. Looking at my seriousness, both Makoto and Fugaku were speechless, since even Itachi didn't show this level of intelligence at such a young age, and at the same time it made them delighted that he was training to help the clan's situation, making Makoto feeling bad for getting angry at him, while Fugaku asked seriously, "Bakurio, how much do you know about the clan's current situation in the village?" "I know more than you, that's for sure," I thought inwardly and responded, "I know a lot. Let's see what this young man thinks. Maybe he will help me find a way to deal with this helpless situation," Fugaku thought, feeling sad at his life trying to consult a 5 years old. Well, where should I start from? I quickly organized my mind about what to say and what to leave, since being too informed will be suspicious, so I started explaining by stating the obvious. First of all, the fact that we were banished to the outskirts of the village has a very clear meaning. Konoha's council and even the Hokage do not trust us, and according to the information I gathered, the situation was similar even before the Nine Tails incident, but they used the incident as a leverage to corner our clan without even a proof of our involvement in it, and removed whatever authority we had left except for the police force, which I will discuss in a moment. Now, if we rely on history alone, tension between our clan and the village started because of Madara Uchiha defecting, or so how the village would like to make it seem, but there was no reason for further conflict yet. Somehow it never stopped. I thought hard about this. At first I thought it was the Senju clan's doing, but that poor clan, which was the main founder along with our Uchiha clan, is already exterminated, with only Tsunade Senju still alive somewhere since she left the village. So I wondered, how is it possible for a clan as strong as the Senju, famous for their vitality, die out like this even though their clan members were married to many other families in the village? It's impossible to happen naturally, so it's obvious someone was behind it, and there is only 3 possible culprits that had enough power at that time to do this. First, the third Hokage. Second, the Elders Council. And third is our clan. But I know it's not our clan, so that leaves either the third Hokage or the Elders Council. Whoever it was, it's impossible for the third Hokage to not know, so that guy is very shady to me. As for from the Elders Council, I think the biggest suspect is Danzo with his root organization, plus I am sure they killed a lot of people legally by throwing them in the front lines at the second and third ninja wars like they did to us. As for the motivation to eliminate us, there are 2 possibilities. One, they are after our bloodlines, and second is to have all the power in the village, and either way they will try to exterminate us. That's what I know. Makoto and Fugaku's faces kept changing, starting from curious to dumbfounded, to shock, and lastly horror, realizing that whatever hope they had for the village was pointless, and they stayed silent for a long time before Makoto asked worriedly, "Bakurio-kun, what do you think we should do?" And at this moment Fugaku too raised his head from his contemplation and looked at me, hoping I have solution to this predicament since I could think about the situation this well. I looked at her thoughtfully and said, "Right now we should first fix our reputation in the village, and this brings me to the situation of our police force. It's causing more harm than good to us, especially with how some of their members use their authority to bully villagers. I don't know if Sasuke told you this or not, but yesterday, I took both Sasuke and Naruto to the orphanage, and on the way there we came across a member from the police hitting orphan kids just because they accidentally bumped into him. And under the watch of many people at that, people like this should be dealt with properly or they will drag the whole clan down." Both Makoto and Fugaku looked very angry after I explained yesterday's incident, and I continued saying, while this time I looked at Fugaku deeply, "And remember this, having a strong enemy is way better than having an unreliable friend." Fugaku's eyes flickered sadly for a moment before he calmed down. "Well, I guess you got my meaning," I thought, and Fugaku said coldly, "After getting banished to the outskirts, the other elders of our clan became lenient and ignored these kind of incidents, but we can't afford to tolerate this behavior anymore and give our enemy a reason to deal with us, so I will make sure to fix it no matter what." I looked at him with a smile and said, "Good, and don't worry, I also have other plans to raise the clan's reputation." The silent Makoto looked at me curiously and said, "How do you plan to do so, Bakurio-kun?" "I plan to open new branches for my pastry shop and even other kinds of food shops, and select people from our clan with good temperament to work there. I will raise their pay depending on how good the feedback from their customers is. This way it will push them to act better with people without us ordering them, and no one will suspect that our real purpose is to raise our reputation, since even our workers won't know, but you shouldn't tell anyone, not even Sasuke or Itachi. What do you think? I said, and I could see both their eyes light up. Makoto looked at me excitedly and said, Bakurio-kun, you are amazing. Can you please let me help in this project? I nodded with a smile. Of course, you will make my job easier managing different shops. And she smiled happily at my agreement. While Makoto thought this was a good solution, Fugaku was thinking deeper. Does he not trust the clan? Do we have spies? He's being too cautious, but I think this is for the better. For some reason it made him think about his eldest son Itachi, but he tried to dismiss those thoughts for now. We discussed some more, and reached an agreement on how many shops we should buy and who to hire as workers, and only stopped when Sasuke came in with a serious look saying, I am back, before it quickly turned to happiness when I called him like a certain scorpion. Yo Sasuke, come over here. Bakurio, how are you feeling right now? He asked worriedly. Don't worry, I was just taking a nap, I responded with a smile. You call being in a coma for the whole day a nap? He said with some anger, making him look cute. Oh man, you should see me when I sleep. I hibernate for entire seasons, I said with a grin, making him even more annoyed by my teasing. Let's train together later, okay? I said, and ruffled his hair until I felt a chill down my back and saw Makoto smiling at me in a very sadistic way. Bakurio-kun, what do you mean train later? She said. I weakly smiled at her and said, I meant train our eating and sleeping skills, of course. She smiled, satisfied with my answer, before she left to prepare us some lunch while Fugaku went out to prepare what we planned, and so I found myself alone with Sasuke, so I asked him, how's Naruto doing? Sasuke snorted and said, HMPH, he's doing fine. He was worried about you and wanted to come with me to our clan, but we met the Hokage on our way and he took Naruto with him. I nodded at him while inside I thought with a grin, your good cop bad cop attitude won't work anymore. Hiruzen, Minato and Kushina are able to communicate with Naruto at any time. They will make sure that you will get no information. As I was enjoying my lunch with Makoto and Sasuke, somewhere else inside of Konoha, an old man wearing a hat and haori with a red, full-length kimono that is tied using a white sash was walking towards a simple but popular restaurant with the name Ichiraku Ramen, while holding a smoking pipe. Alongside him walked a little kid with spiky blonde hair, and from his face, he seemed to be in a bad mood for some reason, even though many in his position would be happy walking alongside this old man. They both took a seat on the stall, and Hiruzen said with a warm smile, it's been a while since I took you out for ramen. Naruto, how you are doing these days? Naruto didn't even look at him and said, I'm fine. Hiruzen looked surprised because this sad kid, which used to be easy to get close to, suddenly became distant, so he said, let's order first. And so they ordered, while thinking after Naruto sees the food his mood will improve. Yet as the ramen was quickly prepared by the skilled Toiki and served in front of them, Naruto was still in the same bad mood, making Hiruzen frown secretly, so he asked, you seem to be in a bad mood, did something happen? Naruto, who was about to start eating, suddenly stopped and said while glaring at Hiruzen, yes, my friend is sick and I was in my way to visit him with Sasuke, but you just had to appear at that time. Were you following me or what? Hiruzen's eyes flickered at the question and thought, well, of course I won't let you enter the Uchiha compound alone, but was this question a coincidence? Yay, it's just Naruto, it's impossible for him to really mean something like this is, but what Hiruzen didn't know is that this is far from a coincidence. Hiruzen quickly regained his cool and said with an apologetic look, I'm sorry, I didn't know your friend is sick. Want to tell me what happened? Let's gather some information while we are at it on this new Uchiha kid. Naruto was genuinely sad and said, I don't know, even Sasuke doesn't know. Yesterday when Sasuke's mother went to visit him, she found him passed out in his house, and Sasuke said the doctors didn't understand what's wrong with him, so today Sasuke was sent to buy medicine for Bakurio and I was going to accompany him. It doesn't seem like this was planned to lure the Jinchuriki inside their compounds. Maybe we just overreacted, but better safe than sorry. Hiruzen thought and said, I see, I hope he's doing well, it seems you really like these friends you made. Meanwhile inside Naruto's seal, Kushina was getting really mad at how blatantly Hiruzen was interrogating Naruto in the guise of a harmless old man while Minato kept trying to calm her down with a weak smile hiding behind it, the coldness growing in his heart. Naruto with a stuffed face said, "Yes, I like Bakurio. As for Sasuke HMPH, he's just annoying." Hiruzen said, "Oh, it seems this Bakurio is really amazing for you to like him this much." Naruto's eyes lit up before they dimmed again, and while eating he said, "Yes, Bakurio is the nicest person I know. I just wish he wasn't obsessed with money and rather be more talented than Sasuke so we could beat him up." Oh, good to know another monster isn't going to come out from the Uchiha clan. Dealing with Shisui and Itachi is hard enough. Hiruzen thought but found something weird and asked, "What do you mean obsessed with money?" Naruto stuffed his face with food again to hide his expression as his father ordered him and said, "Well, Munchie always says his dream is to become the richest man in the world." At this moment Hiruzen remembered that the kid already has a pastry shop and thought, he's simply someone who wants to make money. Maybe he will end up as a businessman or something, either way nothing to be worried about, and decided to end this conversation since he got what he wanted. "I see, well I have to leave now since I have work to do. Goodbye Naruto, may the will of fire burn on all of you," Hiruzen said, paid the bill for the ramen they ate and left while smoking from his pipe. "Burn your ass you dirty old man," screamed Kushina and said with an angry look, "Bakurio was right, the Hokage really doesn't care about our little Naruto." Minato nodded agreeing with her and she followed saying, "I told you it wasn't worth it to sacrifice yourself and leave Naruto alone to these people." Minato gave her a guilty look and said, "I am sorry Kushina, let just hope Bakurio-kun can really help make new bodies for us so we can take care of Naruto properly." Kushina nodded with expectations in her eyes and asked her husband, "Do you really intend to work for him?" Minato nodded, "I made a promise, plus we are really indebted to him for giving us the chance to take care of Naruto, so as long as it's not harming innocents, I will help with anything he needs." Kushina looked at her husband approvingly and said, "Yes, we are really indebted to him, helping him is the least we can do, let's see what he needs when we meet him next time." Minato nodded at her before they started talking with Naruto about various things. Back at the Uchiha clan head's house, I was finally back alone in the room I woke up in and had time to check my progress, so I said in my head, "Status. Name. Bakurio Uchiha. Health. 7800 plus 100 per minute. Chakra. 11800 plus 160 per minute. Stamina. 3000 plus 40 min. Attributes. Strength 120, Agility 100, Physique 200, Vitality 250, Stamina 300, Spirit 400. Skills. Throwing Art level 37, Slithering Throwing Art level 19, Close Combat Fighting level 61, Water Bullet Jutsu level 15, Clone Jutsu level 1, Transformation Jutsu level 1, Shadow Clone Jutsu level 1, Cooking level 21, Chakra Control level 19, Meditation level 21. Abilities. Save and Load, Map. Bloodline. Uchiha 50%. Talents. Chakra Master. Body Greek Master, Cooking Advanced, Sealing Advanced. I was surprised at how crazy my attributes has risen. With these attributes, if I had only high agility but average strength I would still be as strong as Lee at the Chunin exams, but with both high strength and agility I should be capable of dealing with special Jonin level ninja. Add to that my physique and vitality and then I would simply be a war machine if unleashed on a battlefield, but if we add my senses and reaction speeds, even I can't estimate how strong I am right now, since fighting isn't just about attributes. In the ninja world, unless you have a crazy defense like a Susanoo or something, tactics will allow you to skip levels easily. I also noticed that my attributes gave me more health and chakra than previously, probably because of the increase in my chakra and body talents. Now I think my chakra is at Jonin level. I only lack some ninjutsu and more practice on my control, which I believe will be easier with my current level of talent. Satisfied with my progress, I started thinking what my next course of action should be. Learn as much as I could from Minato and Kushina, since I am lacking a lot in ninjutsu and seals while training my body to reach Jonin level with it alone, and even elite Jonin if possible. Expand my business, and finally collect information on a very dangerous person with an even more dangerous ability. I thought. Of course, I was thinking of one of the two people with a Mangekyo Sharingan in the clan, Shisui Uchiha. While I was planning my future and recovering, under the watch of Makoto and Sasuke, a conversation was ongoing between Hiruzen, who just got back to his office, and a frail old man using a cane to support himself. He had black, shaggy hair, and his right eye was bandaged, concealing a Sharingan underneath. On his face he has an X-shaped scar on his chin, something he had ever since his youth. He wore a white shirt, with a black robe over the top of it covering from his feet to just over his right shoulder. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged, and covered with 3 large golden braces, an arm that would be implanted with Uchiha eyes in a normal future. This was the titled Darkness of the Shinobi, Shimura Danzo. We can't let the Jinchuriki stay close with those Uchiha kids, who knows if they were trying to draw him inside their compounds or not, and with the village weakened, this is a great opportunity for them to rebel against the village, Danzo said with anger apparent on his face. No matter how much Danzo is hated, he is a very smart and shrewd person, for the Uchiha in the future will really plan to use the 9 tails in their rebellion and control it through Fugaku's Mangekyo Sharingan. Unfortunately, Itachi betrayed them and relayed this information to the elders directly. Danzo, you shouldn't be too distrustful. After all, the Uchiha are our comrades in arms, but you are right, we can't allow the Jinchuriki alone in the Uchiha compounds, so I will ask Kakashi to be careful and talk with Shisui and Itachi to act as backup if needed, since they can be trusted. Now that I think about it, I was planning on inviting Itachi into Anbu when he grows up a little more, but it seems like I have to do it earlier. He's more than qualified with his current strength anyways. What do you think, Danzo? Said Hiruzen. No. Hiruzen, you are taking a huge risk relying only on the strength of a few kids to protect the Jinchuriki, and they might even betray us. It's better if you give him to me. I will train him and make sure he's loyal to the village, and we won't need to worry about all these things, said Danzo, trying to take Naruto into his root and brainwash him. Enough. You think I don't know who's spreading all those rumors on the kid? You already made his life hard enough by isolating him like that, and now you want to ruin it completely. I already failed my promise to his parents, but I won't fail it more than it is already, Hiruzen replied with anger. Yushish, Danzo tried to make a case for himself, but Hiruzen quickly cut him off and dismissed him while saying, "This is an order, Danzo. Don't do anything stupid right now. The situation in the village is already bad enough." Danzo snorted and left without saying anything, with a cold look in his visible eye. If you don't want to act, one will act myself, thought while remembering the information he got on the kid who caused this situation. Next morning I had a talk with Fugaku about the preparations for the business, and he said that he's in the process of choosing workers from the clan and I can start selecting from them starting tomorrow, making me surprised at how fast he works, but maybe he's very stressed from the situation even though he keeps a stoic face. For the shops, we decided on 3 to expand the pastry business and the remaining 1 to start a new business. I was planning to make it an Italian restaurant, which is something new here and would cause a huge impact. After we were done with our discussion, I asked Fugaku if I could visit the clan library, and he accepted without hesitation, making me excited at the different jutsus I can learn there. Then I insisted to Makoto and Sasuke that I was fine and left to my home, but not before promising to come back to train with Sasuke. When I got back home, the first thing I did was to use the new jutsu I got from Minato, the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and with my Jonin level chakra and very low mastery I was barely able to make 2 shadow clones. Looking at the clones in front me and seeing the similar curious looks in their eyes reminded me of just how magical and different this world I was currently in. I quickly snapped out of my daze and gave each clone his tasks. First clone, go back and visit the Uchiha clan library with Sasuke and learn as much as you can from there. And keep an eye on Itachi if you meet him. Second clone, go and reopen my pastry shop, and when you are done visit Naruto and learn as much as you can from Minato and Kushina. Understood, they replied at the same time before each left to do his tasks. I need to fix the problem of my shop not working without me there. Hopefully I will find trusted workers tomorrow to pass on some of my recipes, I thought. Now that I have nothing holding my real body back, the real training shall begin. I stealthily left my house undetected thanks to my map and senses towards a deserted area surrounded by trees. Opening the shop function, I quickly bought new weights since the old ones weren't useful anymore and focused all my energy on testing and training. First I wanted to see how hard my body was, so I retrieved a sharp kunai from my pocket and started stabbing it slowly in my arm, and it took all my effort for it to puncture my skin, but I couldn't push it further through my muscles, and the moment I removed it only took 3 or 4 seconds for my skin to go back to normal, making me excited at the effect of my high physique and vitality. With that out of the way, I put on my weights and started a grueling training regimen for my body and chakra control. Training my body is obvious, as for chakra control I started walking on a pond each time with different weights on me, and when I get used to them I start jumping and doing all kind of movements on the water, and thanks to my huge talent and perception my control kept rising at a dramatic speed, and so is my physical strength. With the increase of my body talent to Greatmaster level, 1 day of training is the same as 16 days by my previous talent. Add to that I am training almost double the time since I am free thanks to my clones. Just this 1 day of training is equivalent to all my hard work this past month. At the evening both my clones returned home and dispelled themselves, and I got all of their knowledge and experience, but I ignored it for now and started focusing on training something else. My shadow clone jutsu. So without hesitation, I started using it and analyzing the way I am doing it, causing its level to start rising quickly, signifying I am wasting less and less chakra and my clones are becoming more durable, and by the time night fell I was capable of creating 4 clones. Seeing that it was already late I decided to leave and have some rest, but not before instructing my 4 clones to each continue training something. One I gave him my 2 rare double-edged short swords to train on using them. Another was tasked with taijutsu, another with sealing arts, and the last one with a D rank but very useful jutsu one of my clones learned from Minato, the body flicker jutsu, which allows the user to instantly travel a short distance. The theory behind this jutsu is very simple. Since chakra is a combination of physical and spiritual energies, for this jutsu you deconstruct chakra back to physical energy, which greatly enhances the body, allowing the user to achieve huge speeds and strength, but as any jutsu, and not to mention a lower rank one, it has many disadvantages. First, the user can only move in one direction, and because of this it's rarely used in battle, since if used against an enemy that has better battle experience or certain abilities to read your movement you will end up sending yourself to your grave. Second, it consumes a huge amount of stamina from the user, so continuous use leads to quick exhaustion. Third, since it only increases the speed and strength, defense not included, it cannot be used to inflict direct damage relying on the increase in strength, otherwise the user might cause more harm to himself than the enemy. It's possible to fix these problems, but not anyone can do it. For the first, having a dojutsu like the Sharingan or naturally high reaction speed like Minato can help. Otherwise a normal ninja can only fix it with very high mastery and battle experience. For the second problem, the user needs to gain huge mastery and control over the physical energy generated from deconstructing the chakra and use it to enhance not the whole body but only the part needed for the least amount of time to minimize the consumption of stamina. For the third, the user needs to increase their defense or vitality to allow for the body to handle the increase in strength by training or having special bloodline or through other jutsu to complement it. In my case I will make sure to master reverting chakra into physical energy and controlling this energy. The rest can be dealt with my high physique and reaction speed. With the training decided, I went back stealthily the same way I left. When I arrived the exhaustion hit me hard, so I made a simple dinner and went to sleep. Next morning I woke up energetic, so I went to the kitchen to prepare my huge breakfast and lunch to have energy for my training, and while at it I dispelled my clones, making me satisfied at their progress. I already got the basics on using the short swords and sealing arts. My taijutsu training caused my close combat mastery to rise a little bit, but not too much, since it's very hard to raise the level of a skill the higher the level, but it was still good visible progress. Instead the biggest progress was with the body flicker jutsu, lowering its bad effects a little, and I noticed I gained 2 new skills, physical energy control and spiritual energy control. Gaining physical energy control is understandable because of the body flicker jutsu, but the spiritual energy control, I thought deeply about it and I could only come up with the guess that it's because of the shadow clone jutsu training I did. I was only thinking of improving the physical element of it and lowering the chakra consumption, but now that I think about it, it uses a combination of both physical and spiritual energies, and the realization suddenly hit me. Did Tobirama create this jutsu based on his observation of the tailed beasts? I thought, feeling that they were really similar. I will test it more later, I thought. Satisfied with my progress, I sent a clone to discuss with Fugaku about the business and another to continue training under Kushina and Minato while my real body and the rest will continue training various things. At the Uchiha clan house, I was surprised at the level of activity this early in the morning, and as I knocked on the door, it quickly opened by a happy and excited Sasuke. "Bakurio, I was just about to come to your house to invite you, come in." I looked at him surprised at his enthusiasm this early in the morning. "Sasuke, did something good happen?" Sasuke nodded and with a proud look and stars in his eyes said, "Yes, brother Itachi was invited to join Anbu. He's the youngest person to join them at the age of 11 and we are preparing a celebration for him." I asked if something good happened. "You idiot," I thought in my head while outside. I showed him a happy smile. "Oh, that's indeed amazing," I responded, and before long Makoto came out of the kitchen calling me. "Bakurio-kun, you came just in time, can you please help us with the preparations before Itachi comes back?" I smiled at her and said, "Of course, let me help you out in the kitchen." Makoto's eyes lit up remembering how good my food is, so she exclaimed, "Great. Sasuke, you should also come help," and patted my head, an action I almost stabbed her for before we started preparing for a very sumptuous lunch. Before long Fugaku came back from who knows where and said we could go check the potential workers after the celebration, and I agreed with him. As lunchtime approached, a typical Uchiha boy with a fair complexion and black eyes, under which were long, pronounced hair troughs. He had jet black hair that was pulled back in a low ponytail and his face was framed with center-parted bangs that extended to his chin, opened the door and said, "I am home." Finally Itachi's here, I thought, as Itachi came to the living room and greeted me and Fugaku with the fakest smile an 11 years old could have, in contrast to the genuine smile he directed to his mother and especially his little brother. I also noticed that he had a weird look in his eyes when he noticed my presence, which he quickly hid. "What's this kid playing at now?" I thought. As Itachi sat down, Fugaku said with his stoic look that rarely breaks, "Congratulations Itachi, you are really the pride of our Uchiha clan. Keep working hard to regain the prestige of our clan." Itachi had a dark look in his eyes and said, "Thank you, I will make sure to work hard to make Konoha a better place." Wow, how I really miss having popcorn to watch this new episode of Naruto. I thought an amusement is in this room. Only Sasuke is oblivious to the meaning of his brother's response. Makoto quickly diffused the bomb, I mean the situation, by saying, "Sasuke, come help serve the dishes before they get cold." And so not long after, we started enjoying our lunch, and even the gloomy Itachi that keeps thinking about his BS life and death philosophy showed an innocent smile fitting of his age when he was eating and complimented the food. Done with this celebration, I was surprised that the one accompanying me to select the workers was Makoto and not Fugaku, and when I asked her she simply said with a smile, "Do you not want me as your manager anymore?" "Of course not, let's go," I replied with a grin while hoping I find some useful people. As my clone in the Uchiha compound was selecting people for the new shops, another one was currently having a conversation with Minato and Kushina on how to bring them back to life. "Minato, do you think it's possible to restore both your bodies?" I suggested. Minato looked thoughtful before he said, "I am not, since even if we were buried inside coffins, the conditions of our bodies would still be very bad after 5 years, so you would need unimaginable medical or forbidden ninjutsu to restore them." I shook my head. "No, I think it's possible with good ninjutsu." Minato looked surprised and asked curiously, "Please explain." "You are right in saying we need unimaginable medical ninjutsu, but that's only when considering we are using normal chakra," I said, and both Kushina and Minato understood what I meant and turned to look at Kurama laying down, making him uncomfortable, so he said, "What are you looking at me for?" Kushina ignored him and said, "You are planning to use Kurama's chakra." "Yes, after all his chakra has very strong healing properties, especially the yang half sealed in Naruto," I said, and Kurama was annoyed. "Hey. Don't talk about me as if I am not here. This is indeed a good idea, Bakurio-kun, but we would still need a great medical ninja since Kurama's chakra alone won't be enough," Minato said. "I am planning on searching for Tsunade Senju, one of the Sannin, and ask for her help. After all, who to better ask than the best medical ninja herself," I said with a grin. "It won't be easy to convince her, after all she didn't even return to the village after the incident 5 years ago, but if we can get her help it will really make it possible," said Minato, and Kushina nodded in agreement. I will try to send a clone to search for her first and we will decide afterwards, but for now we should think of other ways while we are at it. For example, I was thinking about trying to get you the spirit transformation jutsu to allow you to be living spirits and leave this seal space when you need to, but it will be hard to find it. Still I will try, I said, and they both smiled at me and thanked me. Next I asked Kushina, isn't it possible to restore the bodies with seals? After all, seals are one of, if not the most versatile power out there. I am not sure because the Uzumaki clan focuses mainly on seals for protection like barriers, but it should be possible to do anything with seals since they can even be used to create space jutsus like Minato's flying thunder god jutsu, she replied. I went silent for a moment and fell deep in thoughts, until I thought about something I learned from the body flicker jutsu. Seals are a medium to control chakra in certain ways to create different effects. So what if we create a seal that absorbs chakra and transform it into physical energy, but this time with the property of healing, not enhancing? And I immediately told them my idea. Both Minato and Kushina are geniuses in using seals, so they quickly thought of many ways of how to create this effect and thought it was possible to create such a seal, but we will still need someone with high-level medical ninjutsu to achieve a good enough effect to restore a decayed body, but at least we are on the right track. And so Minato and I left Kushina to think about it while Minato started teaching me about all kind of things, seals, fighting tactics, chakra manipulation and chakra nature transformations. From his explanation I learned just how great hand seals are and thought that their creator Indra was truly a genius, because without hand seals, a person needs to learn how to manipulate chakra and how to transform it into the required chakra nature before they can cast even the simplest jutsu, while hand seals quickly shape and transform chakra automatically, which is truly magical. From this I understood why I never got a water chakra transformation skill or something like it, because I always use the water bullet jutsu I have with the hand seals, whether through the system or without it. And learning chakra transformation is entirely up to affinity first and talent second. Hard work comes last in this one. I should task a clone with training chakra transformation later. Since I am an Uchiha I should have my highest affinity with fire, but I will try to check it later. And just like that, a day of grueling training started again, with only one clone having it a little easier in the Uchiha compound. Meanwhile, with my real body I went to try something I was holding back for so long. It should be possible since it's called a gamer system, I thought, and with a level of stealth that is increasing every day I arrived in front of a huge forest with a metallic fence surrounding its perimeter with 44 gates equally spaced around it. This was the 44th training ground, or better known as the Forest of Death, the place where the Chunin exam in the original series happened. This huge forest had a radius of about 10 kilometers, a long river running through it and a tower in the center. It is filled with several large and deadly creatures such as leeches, tigers, and bears, which are my goal for this trip. I used my senses to the limit and double-checked with the map for any hidden sentries before I stealthily jumped over the fence and rushed inside the forest while searching for prey like a hungry predator. Before long I saw 3 huge wolves almost 2 meters in height each and 4 in length surrounding an even bigger wild that reached 3 meters in height and 4 in length. The wolves were encircling the boar and attacking it from its blind spots, making the wounds on its body accumulate slowly, and I can see its end was nearing, so I quickly jumped from tree to tree, and when I got near enough I used body flicker and appeared right on top of one of the wolves with my short sword stabbing through its skull like butter. I started seeing everything in slow motion. Even though I know I was strong I still like to be careful, so when I attacked I chose the moment when one of the wolves started attacking the boar. And now after killing the one below me I only have to worry about the reaction of one wolf, and indeed it quickly looked at its brethren dead, but I was already gone by then since I stepped on the wolf's head and used body flicker again and hid behind another tree, but I left my short sword there so that they can't detect me from the smell of blood. The boar went wild from the attack it just received and rushed to the wolf in front of it with red eyes, and as it draws their attention I finished off the wolf that sneak attacked it with the same way. Looking at the almost dead wild boar having its last struggles I quickly helped it by throwing a kunai that went straight through the wolf's eye and stopped only after it was inside its brain, and it quickly fell down and I finished the boar off, putting it out of its misery. The moment I finished, I heard the voice I was waiting for in my head beep and a notification appeared in front of me. One notification after another kept appearing in front of my eyes in quick succession. Congratulations on unlocking the character leveling function. Congratulations on unlocking the appraisal function. Congratulations on unlocking the item drop function. You killed a level 13 huge wolf. You found 10 points. You gained 26 EXP asterisk. Calculating additional experience for 12 levels difference, you gained an additional 156 EXP. Congratulations on reaching level 2. You received 5 free attribute points. Congratulations on reaching level 3. You received 5 free attribute points. Congratulations on reaching level 5. You received 5 free attribute points. You killed a level 15 huge wolf. You found. Congratulations on reaching level 6. You received 5 free attribute points. You killed a level 14 huge wolf. You found. You killed a level 20 huge wild boar. You found 25 points plus good quality leather armor level 20. You gained 40 EXP. You gained additional 280 EXP. Congratulations on reaching level 7. You received 5 free attribute points. Looking at the continuous notifications, I was really surprised, and when I opened my status I saw 2 new lines. Level 752 640ths. Free attributes points 35. And I can see a plus sign next to each of my attributes. Now I can raise my attributes faster, but better leave them to when I reach my limits and use them with the attributes multiplier. The level 20 good quality leather armor gave me an additional 25 points in physique, so I wore it directly and it fits me just right, so it didn't bother my movement. Next I looked at the corpses on the ground and quickly sold them to the system, gaining me more points. Satisfied with the result, I noticed something stealthily approaching my position. Probably something smelled the blood, I thought. Before long, the bushes started rustling and a huge brown snake almost 10 meters in length appeared in front of me, and I could sense the primal aura it was radiating, and I quickly tested one of the new abilities I got. Appraise, I said in my head while looking at the snake, and a new screen appeared in front of me. Asterisk name, huge brown snake. Level 22. Attributes. STR 150, AGI 120, Phi 220, Bit 100, STA 300, SPI 70. Abilities. Venomous Fangs. Skills. Stealth, Predator's Aura. If a normal Chunin faces this beast, they better pray for its venom to kill them quickly. I thought, because running away for them will be very hard. Before I focused on its skills, and a new screen with their description appeared. Stealth. Lessen the sound generated by the user's movement and become hard to detect by minimizing the presence. Predator's Aura. Creatures weaker than the user will feel a deep fear. Effect depends on the difference in strength. All my thinking happened in an instant before the huge snake contracted a little and bounced at me, trying to bite my head. I could see its sharp fangs shining with a few drops of green venom enlarging in my vision at a very fast speed, and I waited for it to come near enough so it couldn't change its direction, and with my very sharp short sword in hand I leaned back, becoming parallel to the ground, and its head passed above me, dodging it successfully. But I didn't stop here, because I quickly put chakra on my feet to stick to the ground and stabbed my sword on its neck, passing above me, and thanks to the momentum from its jump, my sharp sword kept cutting it and left a very long bleeding laceration on its lower body. But before I enjoyed my achievement, I found myself drenched in the snake's blood, making me feel disgusted. Yay, never dodge under anything in the future, I thought while watching the snake squirming on the ground before it completely died, and I received a notification and was disappointed because I didn't receive any item, only points and experience. So I dissected the body and only kept the poison gland and sold the rest before I went to the river to wash my body, and sent a clone to continue on with my hunt while I went back to my training. Back at the Uchiha compound, my clone alongside Makoto arrived in front of a building, and she explained that it's used to manage the Uchiha income and spending. So it's something like a treasury, I thought. We entered inside and we saw many Uchiha civilians sitting in the reception area, and they greeted Makoto enthusiastically while casting curious looks at my direction, which I completely ignored, and we both went in the direction of a room with a simple office, the place where we are going to do the interviews. Sigh, why am I the only unlucky clone getting this boring task, the clone thought. Soon after, we started calling people in one by one, and every time, they seemed surprised that I was the one asking the questions and not Makoto, and whenever I see the famous Uchiha arrogance igniting in someone's face, I directly eliminate them from my hiring list, because seeing how they react to me being a kid is the main test of this interview. After all, for the second purpose of the shops, or as Fugaku thinks of it as the main purpose, having people that can tolerate a kid interviewing them like a boss is a good sign that they have good temperament and can deal with most people. At the end of the day my clone chose 16 people, 9 for the restaurant opening soon, 4 of them have some experience in cooking and 3 will work as waiters, 1 cashier and 1 manager. As for the other 7, 4 will work as the main bakers for each pastry shop and the last 3 will simply work as cashiers. I instructed them that I will be giving them lessons before they start working and of course if they leak anything I will make their lives worse than hell. We also agreed on the pay structure, having a fixed minimum pay but also having the possibility of increasing through customers' feedback. Also, when the shops open there will be regular inspections done by either me or my head manager Makoto, and any lack in quality, product, or performance will be punished, and in severe, it will cause the person to be fired directly. After settling everything my clone finally heaved a sigh. Now everything is on you Fugaku, the clone thought, since now what's left is acquiring the shops with good locations. But of course someone is already trying to hinder this when he heard the Uchiha clan is trying to sink their foot on the food industry, and that person is Shimura Danzo. The Shimura clan is probably in control of most of the finances in Konoha. Proof of that is how Danzo was capable of financing Orochimaru's experiments and even creating the whole root Anbu. And now he's using those same finances and connections to hinder Fugaku from getting a good location and even contacting some of the shop owners to raise the prices to make it even harder, and some clans even helped willingly, especially those that base their business on the food industry like the Akamichi clan. Still, just like there's people willing to help Danzo, many people who hates him for the way he handled things decided to help Fugaku, and one of them is the Hitaki clan, probably trying to repay the favor of him not causing Kakashi trouble when he came back with the Sharingan. But this clan, which is in charge of handling Konoha's farmlands, helped Fugaku greatly, and after a week Fugaku finally bought all shops. In the past week many things happened. I reached level 15 and gained a lot of real fighting experience. I also learned many jutsus from the Uchiha library in Minato, like the substitution jutsu and the fireball jutsu, and some genjutsus. I also asked Minato to teach me the Rasengan since he was the creator of this jutsu, so there's no one better to teach it than him. I made some progress in training it, but I still couldn't use it, making me realize just how difficult this ninjutsu is, and I gained some respect for its creator. I was also progressing very well with the seal's art, and I was close to mastering the basics thanks to Kushina wholeheartedly teaching me everything she knew. They also made some progress in making the seal needed for Kurama so that it became harder to manipulate him, but it's still going to take a long time for it to be finished. I also made sure to visit the orphanage many times with Naruto and Sasuke, bringing with us all sorts of food and clothing for the kids, which they appreciated a lot, and it brought a genuine smile on my face. In the Uchiha clan I made sure to teach the workers the recipes for the pastry shops and the Italian restaurant until Fugaku bought the shops, and he just brought me the good news today as we were having tea together. Bakurio, I finally settled the shops matter. Thankfully we got some help from the Hitaki clan and made it easier to get them, but if we want to expand in the future it might be even harder, Fugaku said. Yay, just stop acting like my secretary, you old creep. I thought while looking at the serious man in front of me. Great news, and don't worry about this, the main thing is how is fixing the attitude of the police force going on right now. Fugaku looked at me helplessly and said, I investigated deeply in the matter and I found that a lot of people are acting that way, including some captains in the police force, making it hard to weed out the problematic people. I frowned at this since I didn't expect the numbers to be this huge. And did you find the reason behind their behavior? Fugaku nodded coldly. During the Nine Tails incident we were stopped from interfering in the battle by Danzo and tasked with protecting the civilians, but after the incident, Danzo used this same reason and accused us of not wanting to help, and even said that we might have a hand in the attack, ending with us in this current situation. Now those people are blinded by rage, and instead of directing it at Danzo they think that the people are ungrateful for their help, and they started acting like this is some sort of payback. I see, I understand, so what are you planning to do now? I said. I plan on firing them, but it will cause a huge dissatisfaction in the clan and leave the police force lacking in personnel, said Fugaku with a frown. You need to be decisive. You are the clan head. You rule them, not the other way around, and if they keep causing trouble make sure to punish them accordingly. As for the lack of personnel, I think you should consider hiring workers from other clans, I said with a serious look. Fugaku shook his head and said, "We can't give up on our last political power." I couldn't help but laugh at him mockingly, causing his stoic face to twitch a little. What political power when Danzo can order you around however he wants, plus they are using something stupid like this to keep us from getting really involved in the village. Can't you see it? This is the same as putting a leash on a dog. Fugaku was angry to the point his eyes started turning into Sharingan, but he calmed himself down while thinking the kid in front him must have a reason to say this, so he sighed and said, "So how is hiring people from other clans going to help?" And I couldn't help but smile at this man's temper and how he doesn't let his pride and anger control him. Big clans won't be interested in joining the police force since most of them has better things to validate their authority, but the same can't be said for the small clans like the Inazuka or Izumo clans for example, and by accepting them inside the police force they will benefit a lot from it, and we will have more allies to rely on since we will always be in control of the police force. Fugaku's eyes lit up. Indeed, you only get something by giving something else back, and with us in complete control over the police force, they can never take it away from us. I nodded at him with a smile and said, "Just pick the clans you want to invite wisely and everything will be fine. By the way, how are the renovations for the shops going?" "They should be over in no more than 5 days according to your requirements," Fugaku responded. "Good," I said, before I remembered something and asked, "How is Itachi doing in the Anbu?" "He's doing well, plus he's working under Kakashi Hatake sometimes, so he's going to learn a lot," he said. I took a sip of my tea while deep in thought. So he didn't go on that mission like in the original, huh? Before I said, "Indeed, Kakashi is really talented, if only life wasn't that cruel to him." Fugaku with sadness in his eyes replied to me, "This is the life of a ninja. Suffering is inevitable. No, it's just the life of a human," I said with a tired sigh before I continued, "I need to go now, we will talk when the shops are ready." "Okay," Fugaku said while looking at the back of the kid in front of him while thinking, "Just who are you?" Because for a long time he felt that this wasn't a kid from his mature view of the world and ideas, but what makes him sure of it is the indifferent look in his eyes he always has, and he doesn't even try to hide it. They say eyes are the windows of the soul, but behind those eyes there's only emptiness, a very scary emptiness. Meanwhile at Naruto's house, my clone started noticing that some people were watching him even more closely these past few days, and it only starts when he reaches Naruto's house, and according to my senses and map they hide all around the house to listen into what's happening. The previous people watching over Naruto were still hiding in their usual places and watching from a distance, so these new people can only have one identity. Root, huh? Me though. Knowing how careful Danzo is, it's impossible for him not to send many sensor ninja tch. This is going to be a pain to deal with, and I started pondering how to deal with this situation. Creating a shadow clone won't work since they can sense multiple people inside, and normal clones won't be of use as well since they could easily be differentiated from a real body. You want to play it dirty? Fine by me, Danzo, I thought with a ruthless smile plastered on my face. After my stay in this world for a while, I started understanding just how much Danzo likes to stick his nose in everything. It really made me wonder how no one killed him until now. Still, to actually send his root members to stalk Naruto like this, it's impossible to be just for making 5 years old friends, so I tried to twist my mind as much as possible to be on the same wavelength as Danzo, and I could only think of one thing. He's feeling the threat of the Uchiha getting back their power, so he wants to understand Naruto's situation clearly, huh? I need to make sure he doesn't act against Shisui earlier than the original, otherwise it will be really troublesome, I thought. Noting in my head that I should contact Shisui sooner. I started thinking about my current problem considering the hindrances and troubles I have to go through every time I want to meet Naruto. Since interacting with Naruto this way is going to get harder and harder, let's just take Naruto away, I thought. Before I started planning on how to do it. The easy part is taking Naruto away since we could just replace him with a shadow clone. The hard part though is giving him a new identity. I started pondering before I decided on a good way to do it. Since Konoha has many merchants coming and going, let's use one of them to sneak inside one of my clones and let Naruto take its place later, but it should be something convincing, so I will have to pick merchants that have a close relation to the Uchiha clan. I will get this information later from Fugaku. I thought of a plan, and with it settled, my clone spent his time playing and training like a normal ninja kid. Poor Danzo doesn't know he's going to cause Konoha to lose their only Jinchuriki, and if Hiruzen knew, he'd just kill him from anger. While one of my clones was troubled by Danzo, another was investigating one of the huge and noble clans in Konoha, the Hyuga clan. It was only 2 years ago when a huge incident happened to this unfortunate clan, now known as the Hyuga affair. Because Kumo and Konoha were still at war. In an attempt to put an end to the fighting, they agreed to a peace treaty to be signed on the date which coincided with Hinata's 3rd birthday. But soon enough, the treaty was revealed to be nothing more than a cover, and the village hidden in the clouds' real goal was to kidnap Hinata in order to obtain the Byakugan and its secrets. Unfortunately for Kumo, the one responsible for this, who was the head ninja at the time, was killed in his attempt by Hinata's father, Hiashi Hyuga. The situation was so urgent it led to every Konoha Anbu being dispatched out of the village on a single mission, and be on standby in case fighting broke out. Kumo of course denied all accusations of the kidnapping, and demanded the body of Hiashi as compensation for the death of their head ninja as per the stipulations of the treaty, because they have a Hokage with a spine. The Hyuga elders and Konoha's leadership proposed that Hisashi be used instead as Hiashi's body double because they were twins. In addition to protecting Hiashi, the Hyuga's leader, doing so would keep the Byakugan's secrets from being discovered. Hisashi agreed. When Hiashi tried to protest, Hiashi immobilized him with a single blow. He then explained that he was not doing this to preserve the Hyuga's structure, but to save the life of his brother, to prevent war, and to choose his own fate for the first time in his life. Because from the moment Hisashi was born he was under the curse seal of the Hyuga clan, making him no different than a slave for the main branch. And just like that, thanks to Konoha's spineless Hokage and elders agreeing with Kino's demand, even though Kumo was in the wrong, the life of a very strong ninja was lost. But this isn't the main thing my clone is investigating. He was investigating the recent happy event that quickly turned sad, which happened in the Hyuga clan 2 weeks ago. Hiashi's wife gave birth to another daughter and they named her Hanabi, but the happiness didn't last for long because Hiashi's wife Himawari, who was already a frail woman, fell ill and her situation was very critical, and they did everything they could to heal her but nothing worked. Hiashi slowly started falling into despair. First he felt like he killed his brother with his own hands, and now his wife is dying in front of him and he can't do anything about it, making him think this is his retribution. My clone was surprised by Hinata's mother's name but thought it was logical. In the anime she was never mentioned, and even though I never watched the continuation of Naruto series Boruto, I still know that Naruto named his daughter Himawari. Now seeing that Hinata's mother's name is also Himawari, it made sense for Hinata to name her daughter after her dead mother. Meanwhile, inside the Hyuga's clan head house, a very pale-looking woman was laying on a bed while 2 people were holding her hands. One was a man with long, black hair and featureless white eyes like all members of his clan. Wearing very traditional, loose-fitting robes with a long-sleeved, brown houri, and he had a worried and pained look on his face. The other was a little girl with a fair complexion. She has dark blue hair that is cut just above her forehead, akin to a bowl cut, with chin-length strands framing her face, and the same featureless eyes as the man in the room but with tears falling down from them. These are Hiashi and Hinata Hyuga, both feeling devastated for the woman's current condition but can't do anything about it, worsening day by day, and no medical ninja could heal her. Father, please tell me mommy going to be okay, Hinata said with tears in her eyes. Hiashi couldn't look at his daughter's eyes because he knows there's no saving his wife. Suddenly a servant came running in and said, Hiashi-sama, a kid from the Uchiha clan keeps on insisting on meeting you, and before the servant could keep talking Hiashi cut him off with a look oozing with killing intent. Didn't I say to not disturb me when I'm with my wife? Hiashi was ready to turn this servant's life into hell if he doesn't give him a satisfying answer. Scared for his life, the servant quickly said, Hi Hiashi-sama, that kid said he could heal Himawari-sama and kept insisting on it. Hiashi's eyes widened and was about to hit the servant for this joke. Medical expert can't heal his wife and an Uchiha kid can. Uchiha aren't even famous for their medical ninjutsu, but before he could say anything he heard a hopeful voice, Really, can he save mommy? Seeing his daughter with hope in her eyes, Hiashi calmed down and said, Bring the kid here, but tell him if he thinks this is a joke he can forget about returning to his clan in one piece. The servant quickly said, Why yes sir, before he rushed away feeling like he just dodged an Amaterasu. Thank you for listening guys, see you in the next part.